welcome to another episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. Here to talk about all things professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside of the ring, backstage rumors, superstar news and injuries and updates and all that. So make sure you tune into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. Hope you guys are having a great day. Hope you guys survived your Monday. I know sometimes Monday could be a little eerie, could be a little discouraging back at work, you know what I mean? Or, maybe Mondays or Friday for some people. Like who knows, maybe you guys are going out tonight, of course, on a Tuesday, getting rowdy on a Tuesday, got the club going up on a Tuesday. Well, whatever you guys are doing, hope you guys are fantastic, healthy, safe. And you, of course, are absolutely beautiful. So, grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite drink, and join me for this next exciting hour, the best show in wrestling history. I'm just kidding. No, I don't want to be that modest. You know what I mean? But, thank you for tuning into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today on tap. We have our WWE Monday Night Raw review. We also have NXT Preview. We're going to talk about the Hurt Business possibly going to AEW. Maybe, something happens in terms of contract talks with Triple H, Bobby Lashley, and MVP. And we're also going to talk about two new women's titles are on the rise. They're coming, and they honestly need them. They need them sooner rather than later. So I think WWE should definitely get on that ASAP. And fifth and final segment, of course, every Tuesday, I take you guys into my wrestling DeLorean, taking you guys back in the history books. Today, what happened on July 23rd throughout the year. So we're going to talk about that. Super exciting, some super cool historic stuff. Let me be your wrestling historian. But before we move on to that, I want to remind you guys to use the GSMC podcast.net. Hit up the tips and donations link so you guys can, just let me know how you feel about the show. Send a chat. We get a number of questions from viewers like you that come in during the show. So leave a positive remark here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. And remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show, and subscribe to the show as well. And also the GSMC Sports Network. You will not regret it. Sports podcast, absolutely free. We got baseball, basketball, football, you name it. So yeah, be a part of this GSMC Sports bloodline. Once again, it really does help the show, guys. And the link is at gsmcpodcast.net. So let's go ahead and dig on into some Monday Night Raw talk. Monday Night Raw was actually pretty darn good. I saw it got some pretty good ratings. So it started off, kind of how I thought it was going to be. You saw Gunther come out, mixed emotions from the fans. Like I said, and I mentioned before, the fans do love Gunther. He puts on some great matches. He's a wrestler you can kind of get behind. Kind of reminds me of like a Randy Orton where he's not really projected to be hated or loved. You can't really put that baby face stamp on him or that heel for that matter. So, he was commenting on the remarks that he made about Damien Priest about being trash and his parents not caring about him. And honestly, Gunther did a really good job. He came out there. He needed to get the crowd on Damien Priest's side. So we came out and he said he had absolutely no regrets for what he had to say. Basically turned to the fans, gave them the middle finger and stuff like that. And to be honest, it was good. It was a good promo. He absolutely should have done that. Honestly, nothing less would have been accepted. Heading into SummerSlam, Gunther is a huge favorite. Damian Priest is, still on the rocks. He recently did have a pretty impressive clean win against Braun Strowman. But for WWE to, put their faith and put all their eggs in their basket with Damian Priest, he needs to be liked by the fans. And, it was mixed emotions for the longest time for Damian. I swear to God, every single time I watched, I was like, you know what? I think it's a good idea that WWE is making him a baby face. You know what I mean? And then sometimes where I was like, dude, this isn't going to happen, especially with, Seth Rollins kind of poking his head in the mix from time to time. So, now you have your full, heel, you have your full baby face. It's going to be Gunther taking on Damian Priest for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam. Probably will be the main, no, I think the main event's going to be Gunther and, no, it's going to be Cody Rhodes and Solo Sikoa. So, it was pretty good. It was a great promo overall. Damian Priest, he's just so damn close. He's just so damn close to kind of reach that precipice. Triple H obviously likes him. When he had that botch at Money in the Bank, he said, you know what? He's still our champion. I stick by him 1,010%. So he has the support of the locker room, WWE creatives, and pretty soon he will have the support of the fans, which is exactly what a babyface needs. And they're going to keep the title on him. I've kind of accepted that. He's not bad. He's not bad. He's a great in-ring performer. He's decent on the mic. You can just tell like he likes to be liked. Like he's one of those people, kind of like Rhea Ripley. It's kind of crazy how they were stuck in the kind of the same scenario, the same exact scenario where when Rhea Ripley was projected as a heel, a lot of people didn't buy it. Just like Damian Priest, I think he likes being liked, and some people belong in that babyface category and stuff like that. So I got a message from my man Anthony Mazzano, my main man. Hi, hope you all doing well, man. Hope you had a great Tuesday. Hope you're getting ready for a fantastic Wednesday. So, all right, moving on. So we have our number one contenders match. We had Braun Breaker and Ilya Dragunov. Overall, it was a really, really great competitive match. It was, after the spear in midair and after Ilya Dragunov dropped Braun Breaker on his head and stuff like that, I kind of knew, once when they went into the outside, I was like, okay, something big's going to happen that's going to cause either a disqualification or something like, something bigger or something like that. So, that spear in the midair, you saw the back of Ilya Dragunov's head bounce off not the concrete, I forgot what they call it, damn it, on the outside padding, like, you know what I mean. So it was crazy. It was overall, they had to stop the match. They gave the win to Braun Breaker. Overall, I feel like it was an overall, it was a great booking. It was a great match. Braun Breaker now has a second chance at Sami Zayn's Intercontinental Championship. So, the referee had to call it off. Now Braun Breaker is your number one contender, fighting Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam. All right, next we have a promo. We have a promo backstage with the Judgment Day. Dominik Mysterio obviously heartbroken, and he brought up the social media post that you saw. I forgot who was the announcer, but she asked Rhea Ripley if Jey Uso actually did have her number, and she was like, yeet, like it was kind of crazy. It was, she said, Dominic, don't really take it seriously. It was just for fun. Then Finn Balor, kind of instigates, them beating up Jey Uso and kind of beating him down and stuff like that, which they eventually do at the end of the episode. But I thought it was kind of crazy, Dominik Mysterio, and then once again Rhea Ripley brings up, really, Dom, you're gonna judge me from what I, jokingly said on social media while you were, kissing and mounting Liv Morgan on a week-to-week basis on Monday Night Raw. So, not really any craziness. I have a chat from my man right here, Anthony Mazzano. Are they turning Dominic and Rhea and Ripley slowly into baby faces in this rivalry or feud with Morgan? For me personally, in my opinion, I think that at SummerSlam, obviously you have the match for the WWE Women's World Heavyweight Championship match. Dominik Mysterio is going to be in the corner. I honestly, I don't think that WWE is going to put the belt right back on Rhea Ripley just yet. I think it would be more beneficial but then that would absolutely be the end of the Judgment Day. I can see kind of like what you saw with Money in the Bank, where Becky Lynch, she lost her championship to Liv Morgan because Dominik Mysterio kind of messed up. That's how I ultimately see what's happening with Rhea Ripley. I can see them kind of dragging it on a little bit to the point where it gets pushed to the fact where Dominik actually does decide to go over to Liv Morgan and stuff like that. But as soon as that happens, then you know that he's going to be out of the Judgment Day. But, like what you saw on Monday Night Raw, you saw in the beginning, you saw the show open up, you saw JD, Finn, and Dominik talking, and then behind was Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest, and behind them was obviously Carlito, still trying to scratch and claw his way into the Judgment Day. But that's a pretty good question. I don't think Dominik Mysterio will ever be the babyface after turning on his dad WrestleMania with the nickname Dirty Dom, being like, and on social media being like, oh yeah, I've served hard time, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just classic heel. The fans right now are, they love Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, kind of not in the past, but it's gonna be a good match. It's gonna be like I said, I'm not sure if I want to say goodbye to the Judgment Day just yet. And Dominik Mysterio ultimately takes Liv Morgan over Rhea Ripley, because that would mean the end of it. Rhea Ripley, she had her rematch clause and couldn't do anything with it. So, kind of crazy. I'm so excited to see what happens at SummerSlam. All right, next we have Lyra Valkyria taking on Sonya Deville once again. Deville, the numbers game does add up with Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler. She defeats the Rising Star and Lyra Valkyria. Um, to build up Deville ever since she made her debut back into WWE. I get it. That's cool and all, but Lyra Valkyria, she started off so hot, and like now she's kind of simmering a little bit. Like I know like she couldn't really do anything because of the numbers game and stuff like that. But I think they were building up Lyra Valkyria from the very beginning. I want to see her, fight for the Women's World Championship because I think she would be a great champion on either brand. But I was kind of a little baffled, but at the same time, I understood why they gave the win to Sonya. Next, we have a Sister Abigail promo where you just saw, Abby the Witch. To be honest, I kind of disliked it. I didn't like it because they showed, Bo Dallas talking to Uncle Howdy, and then they showed Eric Rowan talking to Uncle Howdy. And I was expecting to see the transition from Nikki Cross to Abby the Witch. I wanted to see something like that. Like I wanted to see Uncle Howdy be like, "Hey, why'd you do like well, you're hurting and stuff like that. Like people take advantage of you because she started off as the lunatic fringe kind of version of Dean Ambrose. She was the Nikki Cross, Insane Asylum. I think she was Insanity. I think she came from, and then she made her persona change to Nikki Ash, and then she was gone for a little bit, kind of a jobber, and stuff. Competed in like dark shows and WWE live events. But then you saw her come back as Nikki Cross. So that's when you kind of knew something was going to happen right there. I don't know. I just thought there would have been more of more of a narrative to speak of in terms of that. Maybe it's coming in the future. Maybe, I could be a little bit, anxious about this and stuff like that. But yeah. So next we have CM Punk is officially cleared. CM Punk is officially cleared to compete. Asked Drew McIntyre to come out. Drew McIntyre came out obviously with Adam Pearce. Says that McIntyre is also reinstated. He is no longer suspended, which is crazy. I don't, that's I don't know. Like Adam Pearce is like that parent that makes empty threats and you just take advantage of it. That's how I feel. They talk to him, they have the match at SummerSlam, but Adam Pearce said the match is off. If they fight, they will be indefinitely suspended for real this time. When he said that, I kind of laughed a little bit because he's been saying that constantly to Drew McIntyre and nothing's really came in fruition. There has not really been any consequences for Drew McIntyre's rage. And he was reinstated, didn't really show it on screen and stuff like that. Just trying to build up the match. Then Seth Rollins comes out, makes a huge announcement that since all the referees are afraid of refereeing Drew McIntyre's matches, he's gonna put on the striped shirt. He's gonna be he's gonna be the mediator in the match. He's gonna be our special guest referee at SummerSlam. And kind of crazy. And it was funny because he was like, "Oh, I have to be in the ring with you two morons because you scared the ref." Like it's classic Seth Rollins, a classic Seth Rollins promo. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely got to speed it up a little bit. Liv Morgan throughout the episode was trying to get at Dom. Xavier Woods took on the Final Testament with Alpha Academy, came up short. Sami Zayn addresses, Braun Breaker saying not, make sure you take him as seriously as Sami Zayn's going to, take Braun Breaker. And then he went to Jey Uso's aid. The Judgment Day was trying to teach Jey Uso a lesson. Chad Gable came out right after, they won. I want to keep calling it the Dark Ascension. I don't know why. The Final Testament, and then the Final Testament dipped, and then Chad Gable was, antagonizing the Alpha Academy once again, saying you have to join your coach. The Wyatt Six coming after all of us, so we better be there. Once again, Otis says no. Then he was beat down by the Creed brothers, and then the Wyatt Six out of nowhere comes out. It was dark, smoke filled the air, and then Uncle Howdy comes out the first time he's came out in like character since before Bray Wyatt passed away. Um, Hit the Sister Abigail on Chad Gable, and it was crazy. It looked like it really hurt. First time you've ever seen the Sister Abigail, ever since Bray Wyatt, of course, rest in peace. Bronson Reed, Pete Dunne, the match never started. Sheamus came out to attack both. You can probably see a triple threat match in that future. Rhea Ripley wanted Liv Morgan to come get Dominik Mysterio. And Liv was like, I want you to say those little words. I love you. And then he said, I hate you. Made Liv Morgan cry, which was, I thought it was kind of funny. Like, so, then Rhea Ripley licked Dominik Mysterio's face. And after that, I was like, dang, all right. All right. I see how it is. Like, it's Rhea Ripley. She's got the goth girl, and then you got the preppy cheerleader kind of looking girl. So, good for Dominik Mysterio, bro. Good for him, man. So Zelina Vega defeats Zoe Stark, and then last you see Jay Uso and the Intercontinental Champion Sami Zayn defeat Finn Balor and JD McDonough. Love the entrance through the crowd. Loved how they're bringing that back. So Attitude Era-esque. I love how WWE under the Paul Levesque era continues to have more integration and more engagement with the WWE universe. So definitely thought that was super cool. All right, guys, do not go anywhere. We're going to jump on into our second segment. We're going to talk about NXT tonight. It's airing right now. It's already aired on the East Coast, but I have not checked a single shred of social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, or whatever. So, I'm going in as blind as a bat, ready for this awesome show. So, hey, do not go anywhere. We're going to talk about it.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right, and we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, talk about all things professional wrestling. So I'm glad to see you guys back here, talk about the things we love the most, which is absolutely professional wrestling. So now we're going to move on to our segment 2. First, we talked about our WWE Monday Night Raw review. But before we move into our second segment, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. Remember, we get a number of questions from viewers like you that come in during the show. So to ensure that your question gets read on air, make sure you hit up the link. Leave, obviously, just leave as much, generously, whatever. I just want to hear you guys part of the show, to be honest. Just hit up the chat, 1,010%. I would love it when audience engages in the show. It's 1,010 times better. So, absolutely love it. Leave a positive note. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity, 1,010%. Absolutely. And remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show, and also follow the show. Follow the show and also the GSMC Sports Network. Once again, the link is at the GSMCpodcast.net. So let's talk about some NXT. NXT tonight, it seems like it's going to be, it's going to be a setup episode. For the next 2 weeks, we're going to have the great, well, not this, not starting today. I think starting next week, we're going to have the Great American Bash. It's going to be a 2-week event for WWE NXT. A lot of still stuff, a lot of title matches that still have to kind of be surfaced. Some air obviously needs to be cleared up. Interesting to find out what happens with Obafemi and his North American Championship. Wondering if there's maybe an opponent that he's going to fight at Bash at the Beach. A couple of, names that come to mind. Obviously, you want to, maybe some Joe Hendry action would be pretty cool. Maybe Moose comes out after losing his TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Maybe he comes absolutely pissed off and dethrones, Obafemi. Trick Williams is looking for a purpose. He's pretty adamant on getting his NXT World Championship back. But Ethan Page right now, he has the feud with Toro Mensa, and I think who's that other guy? The guy he fought. Then like he backed down. He wanted to fight Dante Chen, and he went cleanly. He by all means, Ethan Page has represented the NXT brand pretty well, so I can't really be too mad at the at the concept. But I do miss that Trick Williams entrance and stuff like that. And Javon Evans still throwing his hat in the ring to compete for the NXT World Championship because he claims that he was never the reason why they lost the championship. Although Ethan Page said he kind of fell into it at NXT. At NXT Heatwave, which he kind of did. You can't really blame the young OG Javon Evans because the trick shot and then another trick shot and like he went down. Ethan Page lands in the right place at the right time. Sean Spears surprisingly stopped Trick Williams from getting the breakup in the match, which was when I saw it, I was like, dude, what are you doing? You're kind of hurting your own chances there. So Sean Spears still, you know, maybe he might know, but he's kind of I don't know. I feel like he's going to be the next one to kind of ultimately push over not Josh Briggs, Brooks Jensen to the edge to the point where he becomes, a little bit diabolical, a little bit more of a shell of himself. Comes out, Sean Spears helps the souls that are, deprived and that are, downtrodden and that are weak. And Sean Spears, provides that kind of, that mentality of, eat or be eaten kind of thing. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to find out who Obafemi's opponent's going to be. Kaylani Jordan. Kaylani Jordan, the inaugural WWE NXT Women's North American Champion. Still doesn't have a match, but matches lingering around the corner for her. She has is it Amy Chu, Wendy Chu, and then you also have Tatum Paxley. Tatum Paxley was eyeing her championship as soon as Kelani Jordan came by. Then she had the doll, pulled the head off, and I was like, okay, great, here we go. So Tatum Paxley. She's a great competitor. 1,010%. She puts on some good matches. You kind of see her. You've seen her try, fight Lyra Valkyria. You've seen her go to TNA for a little bit, challenge Jordan Grace, and so did Izzy Dame challenge Jordan Grace as well, and also Roxanne Perez. But Kaylani Jordan, she still needs. I feel like she still kind of needs to represent the title and kind of make that title more prestigious based on her, her wins. She needs more. She needs impressive wins. She did beat Sol Ruka. Then she did win that massive ladder match. Like I said, I could be being a little picky here, but I want to see her beat like a main star. Like it'd be so cool to kind of see her go against Lola Vice or Jada Parker for that matter. So, would be interesting to kind of find out who she's going to fight next. I have anticipation. I have anticipated thoughts thinking that it's going to be Tatum Paxley. So yeah. Next, we mentioned him before, Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry came so close. He pinned the TNA World Heavyweight Champion Moose, getting him eliminated, kind of giving fans that hope that, oh my God, there's going to be a new TNA World Champion crowned tonight. Which, Joe Hendry, he was there. He was basically there. He almost did it. Obviously, the match was won by Nick Nemeth. Nick Nemeth's name is still being passed around, talking about him being on NXT. But I think he said in an interview that if he ever goes back to WWE, he doesn't really want to be kind of, kind of thrown around a little bit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's not really that jobber. He's not really that person you could put on dark shows because he's one hell of a performer. 1,010%. Definitely think another talented superstar that was wasted by WWE creative under the Vince McMahon era. Like, that's no secret. That's no, that's not, wrong to say. It's the absolute truth. And Nick Nemeth, he deserves to be the face of TNA right now. So interesting to find out what NXT has in store for Joe Hendry because Joe Hendry says he wants to remain on NXT, says he likes it, and he says he wants to stick around for a little while. Obviously, he was kind of tormenting Gallus in the backstage last Tuesday on NXT. Next, we have the NXT Tag Team Champions, Axiom and Frazier. There's been a lot of talk going around that, that a historic WWE tag team wants to come back and compete for NXT tag titles. It's the Hardy Boys. It's the Broken Matt Hardy. Also, brother Nero, Jeff. I think it would ultimately be a good match, but I don't want them to win, to be honest. Like, I feel like they've had their shot. Right now in TNA, I feel like I feel like they're kind of right where they need to be at right now. maybe if I've bet against Nathan Frazier and Axiom the moment they won the titles. Every single match they fought, I was like, all right, this is it. All right, now this is it. Oh, this is when they're gonna drop the titles. Oh, you see a little wedge, you see a little controversy being brought up by Nathan Frazier and Axiom about Nathan Frazier wanted to compete for the Heritage Cup championship and also not taking things seriously. So I was like, all right, this is gonna happen. But then they got together, they were able to defeat the Good Brothers and Chase U back to back. Of course, on Battleground, and then they defeated Chase U on NXT Heatwave. But they're a worthy tag team. I would honestly have a kind of a distasteful you know you know taste in my mouth if the Hardy Boys come to WWE NXT and just take over the tag team division. To be honest, I wouldn't really like it, but of course, then they would kind of have two more individuals that are definitely could be singles wrestlers. Definitely think maybe that's the only reason why they would do it. But right now, I'm kind of leaning more toward letting Axiom and Nathan Frazier keep the NXT tag team titles. And then we have a couple of matches announced. We have Ren Sinclair taking on Carly Bright. Sinclair watched the No Quarter Catch crew dump, presumably, Damien Kemp, in the trunk of a car. She approached Charlie Dempsey and she's like, I want to be part of this crew. If you don't let me be part of this crew, I'm gonna tell. I'm gonna blackmail my way into this. And she said, I'm gonna tell your dad. Classic, WWE thing. She's gonna tell her dad, gonna tell his dad, William Regal. Charlie Dempsey and the No Quarter Catch crew recently lost at TNA Slammiversary against the new and improved reunited Rascals. So the No Quarter Catch crew, I feel like their crew, I feel like is kind of hanging on by a thread, so they still need to keep this storyline together. I see Sinclair find her way into their group, and definitely 1,010%. I think she finds a way to defeat Carly Bright tonight and finds a way into No Quarter Catch crew. All right, next we have Lexis King against Eddy Thorpe. Last week on NXT, you saw Lexis King have a hellacious match. It was really sorry, excuse me. It was very, very good. It was amazing. Definitely put up a fight against the Don. Yeah, a couple of close calls, but no one's been able to defeat Tony D'Angelo for that Heritage Cup championship, which is, not really a surprise. Tony D'Angelo, I feel like is more of a, kind of like a heavyweight, you know what I mean? It would be kind of interesting to see him fight Obafemi. I think that'd be pretty badass, but only time will tell. So you have Lexis King taking on the revamped Eddy Thorpe, trying to get his career back on track. He's a great superstar, definitely electric, definitely knows what he's doing inside the ropes, and it would be interesting to kind of find out NXT's or Shawn Michaels' plans for Eddy Thorpe. Just a little side note, happy birthday to Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid. Shawn Michaels was, yesterday was his birthday, July 22nd. So happy birthday to one of the best WWE superstars. Honestly, he's on my Mount Rushmore wrestlers. So, obviously, hit me up in the chat telling me if he's on your Mount Rushmore. If not, give me your four, best wrestlers. It'd be awesome to kind of, discuss some stuff about that. Now we have Oro Mensah taking on Ashante Adonis. You saw Adonis flirting with Miss Jackson of Metaphor. When is Noam Dar coming back? He's been gone for quite a long time. Ever since Ethan Page made his debut on NXT, basically, is, how long he's been gone. So, like, about a month and a half, kind of crazy, especially when he was he was great on the mic. You can always, you can always count on him to come out and just do some just some heel news. Just the way he comes out, he struts out, with acting like his stuff doesn't stink. But he was great. He was great. So I can't wait to find out when the Supernova comes back to NXT. Definitely waiting on pins and needles for that. And lastly, we have a no disqualification match between the two former tag team partners. We got Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen in a no disqualification match. This is huge because Brooks Jensen, the moment he came back and was given a second chance by Ava, he's done nothing but attack WWE superstars like Javon Evans and stuff like that. Mostly Javon Evans, to be honest. And Josh Briggs put his neck out on the line for Brooks Jensen, but in a no disqualification match, this is going to be pretty darn good. I can't wait to find out what happens tonight. Wondering if it's gonna get really really no DQ, like really like kind of hardcore and stuff like that. Would be shocked if it didn't, if it didn't go any other way. Like I said, Sean Spears lingering in the back, gonna probably find a way to insert himself into this match and help Brooks Jensen. And now you're gonna have this Brooks Jensen and Sean Spears alliance that's gonna run havoc all over WWE NXT. And finally, sorry, finally we got one more thing. We got Thea Hail sitting down in an interview. Damn near broke Roxanne Perez's arm last week on NXT. So we're gonna get to the bottom of that. Should be pretty awesome. Thea Hail is total firecracker, total, she's ready to pop in anytime. She has all this charisma, all this energy. She could dance, she could pull an upset. She can very much pull an upset at Great American Bash. But it's hard to count out the prodigy. Roxanne Perez has been one of the most impressive champions in the professional wrestling women's industry. So, well, even in the men's, like she's been damn near, two-time NXT Women's Champion. So, yeah, good for her. All right, guys, do not go anywhere. We're going to jump on into our third segment. We're going to talk about the Hurt Business, the future, Bobby Lashley, and Montavious Porter. Obviously, stick around. We're going to talk about some Hurt Business, and yeah, can't wait to see y'all in a second.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
All right. We are back with the GSMC podcast.net on the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, excuse me. Brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Hope you guys are having a great Tuesday. Hope you guys are ready to talk about more professional wrestling because we're going to bring up our third segment, the Hurt Business, the future of Bobby Lashley and MVP. But before we move on, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. Shoot me your comments, questions, and concerns. Tell me how you feel about how they're handling Bobby Lashley's contract. Do you want him to leave WWE once again? Obviously, he's a huge star. Leave a positive review here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. And remember to subscribe to the show. Superman, punch that like and subscribe button. As always, follow the network, follow the show. Once again, the link is at the GSMCpodcast.net. All right, so let's go and talk about our third segment. We're going to talk about the Hurt Business. Obviously, as you guys well know, MVP's contract is currently up. His status is up mid-August. There's been no contract offers speculated for him. The news broke and the rumors broke that Triple H never really liked the Hurt Business. He kind of used it to build more of the, kind of like the bloodline. I saw on Twitter that they essentially used the Hurt Business storyline for the bloodline, and I'm not really crazy about that rumor, allegation, or anything like that. But I could see that they kind of needed a dominant force. At the same time, you kind of think about Roman Reigns and the connections to the Usos and, the Inoue family, the Fatus, and also the Mayavias. So it's kind of hard to, kind of compare apples to oranges a little bit there. But, it's a concern that, that MVP obviously had. According to PW Insiders, there's no really exact time when they know Bobby Lashley's WWE contract really does expire. I know he's been moved off the roster on the WWE.com. WWE has reportedly they've made an offer per Insider. The offer wasn't really enough to have Lashley kind of to impress him or kind of sway him over to sign with the WWE once again, which kind of sucks. I feel like Bobby Lashley throughout WWE history is just it's just been kind of a little bad, to be honest. But that's honestly my opinion. With MVP, Bobby Lashley, is on the brink of free agency. Will they join Shelton Benjamin on All Elite Wrestling? Maybe bring in Cedric Alexander. Cedric Alexander was also a very good wrestler. 1,010%. People loved him on 205 Live. I was a huge fan of 205 Live. I remember, TJ Perkins. I remember Brian Kendrick, Drew Gulak, Mustafa Ali. And, there's another couple of big names on there. I think Tony Nese as well, the premier athlete. He was pretty damn good. 205 Live was a very good, product in my opinion. Sucks that kind of went down under, but I guess it is what it is. It is what it is. But so now Bobby Lashley, will he leave if MVP leaves? Like MVP, because it's more likely for WWE to sign Bobby Lashley back and totally have a whole new Hurt Business kind of revamped. I don't, essentially Triple H kind of compensated the faction, the Hurt Business with the Pride. You see Bobby Lashley walking around with the Street Profits, Montez Ford, and man, I can't remember names today. Man, what's the big guy's name? D'Angelo Dawkins. D'Angelo Dawkins. Um, you know, and they're great superstars. All three of those superstars are amazing. They can definitely, do some damage in WWE if they're ever kind of brought together. It would be very dangerous. It'd be very dangerous. But there's so many factions right now in the WWE. You got the White Six, you have the Judgment Day kind of teetering a little bit, but then you also have the bloodline on SmackDown, and I think they don't really want to touch, or they don't really want to create any more factions other than the bloodline on SmackDown. Possibly could be a way to challenge Solo Sikoa, or because Raw also has the whole new Creed Brothers thing, and they have the Final Testament. They have like 4 or 5 stables on Monday Night Raw. Obviously, it is a 3-hour show, so a lot of action, a lot of slot time in terms of promos and bookings and stuff like that. So they could definitely make it work if they if they try 1,010%. But it would be interesting to find out if MVP is not signed, if that'll become an issue for Bobby Lashley to re-sign with WWE. So the faction did have some success in the WWE, and the WWE universe was actually very into it. I remember watching it. The Hurt Business, obviously, regrettably disbanded in 2021. Could they possibly have a reunion in AEW? It could be, very much could be. But at this point, in Bobby Lashley's career, after everything that's happened, for Bobby Lashley, I can see why you could definitely be getting paid something different, get better bookings, have better matches, get more screen time, definitely be a heavyweight champion somewhere else. Like if he finds a way to kind of debut in the Ring of Honor or even AEW, that'd be pretty huge. But it's just kind of crazy. Bobby Lashley said once when the Hurt Business disbanded, it ultimately hurt his heart. Fans shared the disappointment after MVP claimed Triple H refused to revive the faction. Like I said, not too sure. Obviously, those are the MVP's words. Roman Reigns himself, according to Ringside News, felt the faction's breakup was indeed a little premature, and I can't help but to agree with that 1,010%. Definitely. So a lot of just don't want to lose Bobby Lashley. Definitely do not want to lose Bobby Lashley once again. So like I said, nothing has been absolutely made official, nothing at all. This absolutely could be speculations. Rumor talk, 1,010%, some good old fashioned rumor talk. But because of how WWE has wasted Bobby Lashley's skills in the past, like I said before, Bobby Lashley, I feel like he's at that point where he's like, you know what, like I'm good. I could definitely wrestle with some other promotion. Obviously he's going to AEW. He will be getting paid, presumably probably around the same money, if not more, for AEW as opposed to WWE. But I don't know, it'd be huge. Honestly, I think wherever Bobby Lashley goes, MVP will decide his contract status from that as well. Also, Shelton Benjamin, I think he's fighting with MLW right now, but he could also very much make that jump to AEW. There's nothing's impossible. Like I said, obviously still some speculations to it as well. And will WWE learn from their mistake with Bobby Lashley, and will they do right by him? You know what I mean? Like I mentioned before, with the reputation they treated Lashley, kind of like crap. When he came back, he had so much momentum around him. Had a chance where he fought Brock Lesnar, where he fought Roman Reigns, and he lost surprisingly to Roman Reigns. I think he defeated him cleanly on the promotion before that. Don't quote me on that. But Bobby Lashley was at that point in his career where he should have been put over. He should have ultimately been put over. And of course, he was the WWE champion thanks to, the whole Miz thing. And it was just, but it just, I don't know, the way he represented the title and like, it was good on Bobby's end, but the bookings were kind of trash, in my opinion. Like, I thought like he could have fought like big names and kind of knocked them off one by one. Bobby Lashley, obviously, this big, strapping, dominant looking force. Demolition, man. Demolition. Bobby Lashley, obviously one of the best wrestlers in modern day times. He's no stranger to leaving WWE. He's been put in this situation before where, it was just kind of crazy. He came back so babyface. And then he feuded with Sami Zayn, I believe it was Sami Zayn. And then he went heel once again. And then then he did the whole thing with the Pride and the Street Profits where they came out with sunglasses. They weren't really the bad guys. They weren't really the good guys. They were kind of like, oh, we're out here to kind of get ours, be successful and stuff like that. That didn't really work. Bobby Lashley eventually got injured. The Street Profits eventually turned babyface like they, kind of belong. And I don't know, it's just kind of crazy. But if I was WWE, I would sign. I would sign. I would do whatever I can to sign Bobby Lashley. Definitely a universal talent. You could put him really in any bookings. You put him back in the United States title picture, although I feel like that would ultimately be kind of demoralizing in my opinion. And if you're Bobby, you're like, dude, like I could either go and be the heavyweight champion for Ring of Honor, for hell, even, MLW or, TNA or, New Japan for, like it's, the door's wide open for Bobby Lashley. And I feel like that's the reason why he's been a little bit more, kind of careful in terms of signing a contract and stuff like that because this is probably going to set him up for his kind of like his retirement tour. You know what I mean? I know he's kind of getting up there with age. Obviously, he had him injured a couple of times within the past 4 or 5 years. So there's still some kind of concern in terms of that. But if you're Bobby Lashley, you want to find something that's permanent, something that's going to get you a good payday, somewhere where you can kind of dictate the way your character could ultimately go. And if that means signing with AEW so you can be with MVP Shelton Benjamin for the Hurt Business, by all means, he should definitely do it 1,010%. Definitely will think. But it's been rumored that I think, according to Dave Meltzer, that if MVP gets released, then Bobby Lashley, there's for Bobby Lashley not to leave, they're willing to, I guess, revamp the Hurt Business or something like that. But, obviously you got to keep him happy. Like I mentioned before, totally speculation. Nothing has been made official. Obviously, WWE talk, WWE fan right here, still, just the speculations and stuff like that. But I thought it was, kind of eye-opening, kind of fun to kind of research it a little bit and, find out, the deets and stuff like that. All right, guys. Well, do not go anywhere. We're going to talk about the new women's tag team titles that are in works right now. They should be arriving sooner than later. We're going to talk about the subject matter when we come back. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC. To access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
All right. And we are back with the GSMCpodcast.net. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Talk about all things professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside of the ring, behind the curtain stuff, superstar news, updates, rumors, injuries, and just basically everything everything you need to know about professional wrestling, from WWE to AEW, Ring of Honor, TNA, New Japan Professional Wrestling, the NWA. Occasionally we, some don't really make main head news, and sometimes it is hard to kind of get your hands on some of these, wrestling promotions and stuff like that. So wrestling is obviously, I think, is on like every day of the week. Like it's pretty crazy. It's super cool. Love it 1,010%. But trying to stay on top of it. Definitely, I do my best for you guys 1,010%. So let's go and talk about some new women's titles in the works. Obviously, you know what I'm talking about. We are talking about dun, 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 dun. We're talking about the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship and the WWE Women's United States Championship. Obviously, we're going to see the Intercontinental Championship defended on SmackDown. You're not going to want two Intercontinental Champions on the same brand, so to speak, and then also vice versa with the the Women's United States Championship with Logan Paul. But I don't know. It's going to be pretty crazy. WWE has been confirmed, and basically further than specified that they will be adding more titles, which is very, very good. I feel like they probably should have did this a lot sooner rather than later. The WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship, the WWE Women's United States Championship are on the way. They needed these titles. They needed these titles for mid card. It's been it's been a priority. It's been a priority that should have been, kind of discussed throughout, I would say probably as soon as the women's revolution really started. I feel like, something could have, something could have came in fruition there. Something could have, helped the new nuanced way of looking at the women's division, and inserting these titles would have been great. It would have been great. Obviously, we're going to talk about some talents that ultimately kind of suffered because they didn't have these titles. So obviously we're going to talk about Deonna Purrazzo. She's pretty good. I'd see her fight on Collision and Rampage and stuff like that. AEW star. She went from WWE. Definitely someone that they could have put a title around. Obviously a lot of talent, but ultimately she left the WWE because no one really wants to be signed as like a jobber, or you're like, oh yeah, you can perform, but you're only going to perform in on live events and stuff like that. So Deonna Purrazzo is definitely someone that they definitely could have kept. Also, Toni Storm, timeless Toni Storm right now is killing it, absolutely killing it in AEW. She's represented the championship very, very well in the women's division. Definitely talented, definitely very durable. She doesn't get injured very, so often. Just imagine if they had a women's mid-card title for like the Intercontinental. Obviously you have a whole bunch of women fighting for one title, and you have just as much women as you do have men on the roster. It can get a little messy, could get bottlenecked a little bit, everybody fighting for the same prize. And of course, you don't want to crown a champion and then crown another one on a month-to-month, week-to-week basis, because it loses prestige for the women's WWE Championship, also the WWE Women's World Heavyweight Championship on Raw. So, definitely having a mid-card title definitely could have helped out Toni Storm and keeping her. And of course, we're going to talk about Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks went to, Mercedes Moné, but although Mercedes Moné, I feel like she was WWE Tag Team Champion, a women's Tag Team Champion with Bayley. I think, didn't she win it with Naomi? Yeah, she won it with Naomi when she left. I think she actually technically retired and left from the WWE while she was the women's tag team champion. Kind of cool, kind of badass from Sasha Banks, going out on her own terms. But she said in an interview that she's going to retire in WWE. She's going to find a way to make her way back. Don't know how long she's going to be under contract with Tony Khan's AEW, but she's still very much young. Obviously, if there was a WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship or a WWE Women's United States Championship, maybe this would have been a little better, a little bit more of a landing spot for Sasha Banks. Maybe she could, be the longest reigning inaugural WWE Intercontinental Champion, and she would be absolutely thrilled, to the point where she wouldn't have walked out, to the point where now WWE doesn't have to look it over their shoulder and be like, oh, Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné is killing it over there. Kind of wish we never would have, dropped her, because, if Mercedes Moné was out of the title picture if she never made it to AEW, if she never even touched foot in AEW, I'm not saying AEW would have suffered all that bad, but she's such a heel. She's such a steeple in your women's division. You could put a title on. You can just have baby faces after baby faces attack her fan favorites, and she comes out the victor. She keeps knocking them down. So definitely having Mercedes Moné or Sasha Banks on any wrestling promotions roster is absolutely necessary. 1,010%. Also, Ember Moon, one of my favorites. She was a huge star in NXT, got bumped up to the WWE Monday Night Raw roster, was essentially kind of a throwaway, kind of jobber. They didn't really know how to handle her character. And ultimately, we saw her leave WWE. They tried to make her work back down in WWE NXT, but, you're Athena. Like right now, she's Athena. She's the longest reigning women's Ring of Honor champion, absolutely prestigious. And honestly, she should have accepted nothing less of that. Her athletic talents, her ability to get the crowd into the match because of her abilities is uncanny. Her mic skills, she's with MIT with Billy Starks. They are running that women's division on Ring of Honor. Absolutely sad. Ember Moon was definitely one of my favorite wrestlers coming out of NXT. And then you also have Ruby Riott of the Riot Squad. Who knows where the Riot Squad would have landed if she would have never got injured. And then her coming back to be like, okay, now you guys are going to kind of be, you guys aren't going to be as great. You guys aren't going to win, the WWE World Women's Tag Team titles. And Ruby Riott's like, oh, okay, then bye. Like, I'm gone. Like, you know what I mean? And she's had, so much success on AEW through her short 10-year time. But I feel like Ruby Riott was another talent that the WWE could have made happy, but they did not. Of course, we also have Ash by Elegance. She's killing it on TNA right now. She had a very, very good match against the Juggernaut in Jordynne Grace. Definitely think she's going to be, TNA Knockout champion in the future. But, she's been kind of hinting that she's going to come to NXT and challenge Roxanne Perez before Julia or Stephanie Vaquer. So I don't know. It'd be kind of interesting to kind of find out what kind of comes with that. And also something that, we talked about WWE stars that left that could have benefited from having a women's mid card title. Also, you got to think about some superstars that are injured right now, that that are inactive, that are speculated on coming back. 1,010%. So we have Shotzi. Shotzi's another superstar that's making her way back into the WWE. She's still on the roster, so I definitely think they have big plans for her. Don't really see her going anywhere. She could definitely use those titles to kind of revamp her career, kind of make something, and honestly, I think that would be a pretty good shot for WWE. Also, you have Asuka. Asuka, one of the longest winning streaks in WWE women's history. The Empress. Like, she's amazing. She's great in her matches. I didn't like it when she went heel with the Kabuki Warriors, teamed up with the Io Sky, Dakota Kai, and also Kairi Sane. Kairi Sane's another name that, could definitely benefit from having a mid-card title like the Women's Intercontinental or the Women's United States. But I don't know. Asuka's also another superstar that's going to come back, and it's not like you can just put her in the women's, tag title, contestant, and stuff like that, or try to fight for, the title over and over again. Another one, Alexa Bliss is coming back. She's another, another main carder, but she could ultimately find her way in the mid carder. I know she kind of has smaller stature and stuff like that, but this girl kicks ass. She has a big heart. Obviously 1,010%, and she has what it takes to do what she does in the ring. And what she does in the ring is ultimately kick ass and be successful. 1,010%. Like, she doesn't really need that big strapping, like, with technique, strategy, also getting under your opponent's skin could definitely prove more dividends than being like a Nia Jax or maybe even like a Jade Cargill and stuff like that. But as soon as Alexa Bliss comes back, they have to do something with the character. Also, Charlotte Flair. We have all these big superstar names coming back, and what are they going to fight for? Just one title? One title? That's just not realistic. That's not pragmatic. That's like kind of setting them up to fail, like putting them in all right, you guys are going to be in matches that we're going to end in like 5 minutes and stuff like that. Like, the women have become so far in professional wrestling, and like I said, they probably should have did this in the women's revolution back when like the Bella Twins and stuff like that. They should have added another mid-card title, but WWE didn't pull the trigger. So, Charlotte Flair coming back, she's going to want some gold, man. She's going to want some gold. Becky Lynch, if she signs with WWE, no doubt in my mind that she's going to be absolutely in the main event card. She's going to be fighting for the Women's World Heavyweight Championship, the WWE Women's Championship. But if she doesn't, if they decide to kind of hold off a little bit, they can kind of have her have a little bit of a 3 month to 4 month reign as Intercontinental or the WWE United States Women's Champion. They could absolutely do that, 1,010%. And it would be fine for Becky. Becky would ultimately find another young superstar like maybe Lyra Valkyria, obviously have a great match at a pay-per-view, have her serve, lose the title, bringing up the young talent and stuff like that. Like, I definitely could see that happening. And I know this might be a little distasteful for WWE fans, but Ronda Rousey is still in the wrestling kind of community. I think, she's had a lot of praises of Triple H. Triple H and her obviously trained and stuff like that. Triple H, and especially with TKO and UFC becoming partners with WWE, UFC fighters already kind of hinting at, once when their career is over, hinting at joining the WWE essentially. Like, essentially they have a more rough and tough kind of NXT. Like, of course, like, I feel like Ronda Rousey should have made her debut in NXT first. Maybe overall would have helped her wrestling skills because she was out there hurting people. She was missing her cues. She was going too fast. She was a little bit too rough. She didn't get cues off from her opponents and stuff like that. But and it happens. It is professional wrestling. But Ronda Rousey, I feel like, with the right amount of time, and she even mentioned this in an interview, that for the men's division they give like hours on hours talking about creative and matches and stuff like that. For women's, under the Vince McMahon era, it was like 2 or 3 minutes and then bam, done. Like, imagine if they would have gave them more time to kind of, fulfill ultimately what they wanted to do. So, don't really hold too much animosity against Ronda Rousey, but it's definitely still a possibility that she could definitely come back. So we went from injured superstars, and now we're going to talk about current superstars that could benefit. Obviously, I'm pretty high on Dakota Kai. I think she's she's going to do wonders in WWE. All you got to do is really give her a shot. She's not really WWE title women's, kind of, I don't think she's really that kind of person. But as a mid carder, 1,010%, I can see her kicking ass with the WWE Intercontinental Championship. And then also Io Sky. Io Sky could definitely 1,010%, do what it takes to win championship gold once again. Right now, she's kind of in damage control. I feel like it's ultimately kind of wasting her time, but she could definitely, have a pretty good future. Also, we have Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler, for the longest time in WWE, has kind of been messed around. Kind of reminds me of like a Bobby Lashley, where, they kind of keep, stringing her along, be like, all right, now we're going to have you as a champion. You're going to fight an Elimination Chamber match, get the #1 contendership, and not win anything. So, she dominates every single time she's in the ring. But as soon as she fights for a championship, they do nothing. They don't decide to put the belt on or anything like that. Bianca Belair is another superstar, and also Jade Cargill. As soon as they break up from their WWE women's tag team thing, they're going to be needed to fight for something. Obviously, if they go after Bayley's tag team, her WWE championship, especially now that it is just Raw and SmackDown, so they're going to need them. They're going to need a mid card belt, definitely 1,010%. Maybe something that's going to be announced at SummerSlam. Who knows? Natalya recently signed a contract with WWE once again. She's been featured on NXT more or less, but she makes her way into WWE on SmackDown or Raw from time to time. So would be beneficial for her as well to kind of have like that. Lyra Valkyria, absolutely love her in ring capabilities. She's on the up and coming. Like I said, that loss against Sonya Deville on Monday Night Raw, I felt like kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I would have rather saw Zelina Vega lose against Zoe Stark than, them get involved and kind of interfere with Lyra Valkyria's match. But, definitely biases. Ever since watching her in WWE NXT, she's a talent, and she would definitely benefit as the Intercontinental Champion. Liv Morgan, she's the WWE World Heavyweight Women's Champion, but she doesn't belong, man. Like, she's cool and all, and I'm not a Liv Morgan hater, 1,010%, but she kind of belongs more like a mid-carder. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to, be like, oh, she can't do it. You know what I mean? But whenever she has the belt, I just feel like there's just every single match she's in, you think she's going to lose, but then she finds a way, or like something happens, interference and cheats. Kind of reminds me of like a Damien Priest kind of champion here. But Liv Morgan is, I don't know, like she could get better. 1,010% could get better. So, honestly, like a lot of stuff. But yeah, the Women's Intercontinental Championship and the Women's United States Championship is in the works. The success of the Women's NXT North American Championship, held by Kaylani Jordan, has been absolutely prestigious. Superstars such as Dana Brooke, Raquel Rodriguez, Chelsea Green, also WWE Hall of Famers Booker T and The Undertaker has stated for the longest time that WWE should have definitely, sooner rather than later introduced a women's mid-card match on each show, Raw and SmackDown. All right, guys, don't go anywhere. We're going to try to finish our fifth segment up real quick. We have our Tuesdays today in wrestling history. So, hey, do not go anywhere. All right. We are back at the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern. Talk about all things professional wrestling on the GSMC Sports Network. So make sure you subscribe to the show and also the network to catch some of the other awesome podcasts we have here as well. So now we're going to talk about our Tuesdays today in wrestling history. We are going back, taking you guys in my time machine, going 88 miles per hour on this day, July 23rd. Back in time, so let's go ahead and do it. Join me in this journey. It's going to be pretty lit. It's going to be pretty lit. All right, so we're going to start off first and foremost in 1984, WWE's Brawl to end it all at Madison Square Garden. The only televised match was a match that was shown actually on MTV. Kind of crazy. Wendy Richard defeated the Fabulous Moolah for the WWE Women's World Championship. This was kind of during the age of rock and wrestling, the rock and wrestling connection era. During the 1980s, on a regular, basis, cross promotional between wrestling and mainstream, mainstream music and like entertainment industries and stuff like that. Kind of reminds me of like a, kind of like a pop-up video. I don't remember if you guys remember that from VH1. Also, once when MTV actually did have music and not just, trash reality TV shows. No, I'm just kidding. No, not trashing any TV shows. Totally take that back. Not really, but I'm just kidding. No. But, you used to see kind of like Beavis, and I remember watching Beavis and Butthead where, during the show, during commercial breaks, they would show like up and coming music videos and stuff like that. Also on Celebrity Deathmatch as well. A lot of, then you have the cross promotional between, MTV and also the WWF back in that the rock and wrestling connection and stuff like that, which I thought was actually, kind of interesting, kind of, super cool. 1,010% super cool. Now we're in 1989. The very first Great American Bash is on WCW pay-per-view in Baltimore, Maryland. You saw Ric Flair retain the NWA World Heavyweight Championship against Terry Funk. You saw Sting retain his NWA TV World Championship. You saw Jim Cornette defeat Paul D Dangerously or something like that. That's in a tuxedo match. I don't even know what that means. That obviously, that's old school wrestling. 1,010% pretty badass. You saw Lex Luger retain his NWA United States Championship by disqualification against Ricky Steamboat. And the main event featured, you're going to see the Road Warriors teaming up with the Midnight Express, teaming up with Steve Williams, defeating the Fabulous Freebirds, Terry Gordon, and and the Samoan squat team in a War Games match. So, kind of crazy. I, did not realize how long the War Games match has been kind of prominent inside WWE. So, obviously, sorry, there's some noise going on back there. I don't know what it is. Had to check it out. But yeah, like you're gonna have blood and guts from from AEW on Dynamite. So honestly, super excited to see that match in a Hell in a Cell, two rings put together. It's gonna be absolutely. It's so crazy because I think there's like three or four other bookings, and then it's just going to be that match. It's going to be that match. No doubt in my mind, that match is going to go for at least an hour. An hour just blood being shown on live TV and stuff like that. Pretty crazy. Darby Allin always already seems like he's going to go absolutely nuts. Brought out a freaking flamethrower the last time they fought the Elite at Anarchy in the arena, but now teaming up with the Elite, you have the Hangman, Adam Page. Then you have going against the acclaimed Swerve Strickland, Darby Allin, and my man, the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion, Mark Briscoe. But Mark Briscoe has a match at a Death Before Dishonor on Saturday against Roderick Strong for that Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship. So I really honestly hope that that really doesn't, kind of play in Roderick Strong's kind of favor, but I can see why it would. The Undisputed Kingdom needs a title to kind of be prestigious. They need that guy. I don't know where Adam Cole is at this point. Maybe still kind of nursing an injury and stuff like that. But yeah, 1995, we have WWF in your house. WWF champion Diesel retain his title against Sid Vicious. We also saw Owen Hart and Yokozuna retain their WWF tag team titles against the Allied Powers, Lex Luger and the British Bulldog. Shawn Michaels defeated Jeff Jarrett to win his third Intercontinental Championship. Always love it when Shawn gets the victory. Kind of crazy to see Owen Hart and Yokozuna kind of team up. I had no idea that they, at one point, that would be one hell of a tag team to kind of beat off. That would be absolutely insane. Next, we have 2000 WWF Fully Loaded in Dallas, Texas. The Rock retains the WWF Championship against Chris Benoit. Triple H defeats Chris Jericho in a last man standing match. The Undertaker defeats Kurt Angle, and you see the APA defeat Edge and Christian via disqualifications. Didn't really change hands. No WWE World Tag Team title, exchange there. But Edge and Christian knew what they had to do there, to beat off, the APA kind of thing. All right, so now 2001 WWF Raw. This was the fallout from Invasion. Lance Storm defeated Albert for the Intercontinental Championship. Booker T and the Dudley Boys teamed up to defeat Kurt Angle, Edge, and Christian. Like something that was more prominent within WWE's history and kind of will forever kind of be a black spot is the way they handled this Invasion pay-per-view. Obviously, the fallout, not too exciting, not too crazy, because the biggest fumble in WWE history, WWF history, we'll just call it what it is fumbling this. And now all of a sudden there's talks and like them revamping WCW and like all this other stuff. And I'm like, dude, like, why would they do that in the first place? If, when they absorbed WCW and ECW, they kind of made jokes of the superstars and stuff like that. A lot of superstars bailed. Like Sting didn't want any part of it. And Booker T has my respect as one of the best wrestlers in WCW and WWE because he endured all the BS to get to where he is. He honestly is the definition of a man that had to face adversity his whole entire career to get to the spot where he is now, and definitely love it. Definitely 1,010% thought that definitely deserved it. Love that Booker T remained in the WWE 1,010%. So, kind of crazy, but, it is what it is, I guess. In 2004, Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor 2, we saw CM Punk and Colt Cabana retain their Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles in a 2 out of 3 pinfall match against the brothers Jay and Mark Briscoe. Samoa Joe retained his Ring of Honor world title that night as well. Super cool. Good to see some history with Ring of Honor. You see a lot of young, people who kind of, that did really, really well, who made it up there. Obviously, you saw Homicide, obviously CM Punk, Samoa Joe, a lot of, great names, dabble around the professional wrestling industry. And it's okay. And it's something that should have been more, oh man, how do I put it? Should have been more relaxed, I guess you could say. Like, it would have been cool, to see WWF fight WCW or ECW or the promote, like it, but I don't know. It is what it is. So, all right, in 2006, WWE's Great American Bash, you saw Rey Mysterio's 3-month world heavyweight title reign come to an end against the man I was, kind of throwing flowers at before, the five-time WCW champion. That night, you also saw The Undertaker defeat the Big Show in the first ever Punjabi prison match, which the match was, it looked intimidating. It looked intimidating, and at the time, I can tell you'd be like, "Oh, that is kind of badass," because you just got done revealing the elimination chamber structure, and then now you have the Punjabi prison match and stuff like that. Like, prestigious, the thinking was in the right spot, but I don't know, just the overall design of it just looked a little wonky, to be honest, and it actually looked like it could definitely injure and hurt some superstars and stuff like that. But Punjabi prison match, I definitely think that's gone away. In 2012, you saw 1000th episode of Monday Night Raw. John Cena cashed in his Money in the Bank, but was kind of screwed over by the Big Show. Then you saw The Rock come out to kind of even the odds. CM Punk attacked The Rock, creating his heel persona. Kind of crazy. You saw Triple H challenge Brock Lesnar to SummerSlam, and you saw AJ Lee and Daniel Bryan have a wedding ceremony that was ultimately kind of broken up. Sad to see Young Love go tarnished and stuff like that, but yeah, I guess it is what it is. Then she moved on to CM Punk. I'm just kidding, no. But yeah. Well, guys, that was my show. Hope you guys liked it. All things professional wrestling. Thank you so much for tuning into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We're live every day, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. Remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Also follow the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast and the GSMC Sports Network. And remember to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter/X, and Facebook for more content and updates. And like I always say, if I haven't made you a wrestling fan by now, we have football right around the corner, college football with my man Tommy. He has a podcast. And we also have the Chip Shot Football Podcast and my boy Kenneth with the GSMC Football Podcast with the NFL right around the corner. And with NFL, comes fantasy. We need to see fantasy sports, your pick'ems, your stardoms, your draft, second round, third round, whatever. Watch Chris Shepard's show, the GSMC Fantasy Sports, to find out all your ins and out about fantasy football coming up. It's going to be hot. We got Sam with baseball, my boy Nelson on basketball. We have the Andrew Tate show. We just have sports and sports and sports. And then, of course, we have the Swiss Army knives of the GSMC Podcasting Network. We have just the sports show. It's amazing with my boy TJ and Jeremy. So make sure you tune into that. Check it out. Go ahead and look them up right now. Subscribe to their show. Follow, absolutely everything. Be part of this GSMC Sports bloodline. Once again, thank you so much for tuning into the show and have a great night. I will see you tomorrow on a Wednesday.
Be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't want to go to Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow.